Did you know that there are actually two totally different Hebrew languages? The first Hebrew language was used by the Hebrew Israelites during the life of Moses. We call this Paleo-Hebrew. Unfortunately, it became a dead language in the 4th century BC, hundreds of years before Christ was born. The Jews let it die in favor of the Babylonian language of Aramaic when they were held captive in Babylon between 600 and 500 BC. During the time of Jesus' life and ministry, he and the apostles used the Greek Septuagint Old Testament as their main scriptures. We know this because in the New Testament, Jesus and the apostles quote the Old Testament Greek Septuagint word for word. This is the oldest translation of the Hebrew Bible that still exists today. In 285 BC, King Ptolemy II of Philadelphus commissioned 72 Israelites, 6 from each tribe, to translate the Hebrew scriptures into the Greek language. By 150 BC, the Septuagint Old Testament became the favorite Jewish translation by even the high priests in Jerusalem, with a copy in every synagogue in the world by the time Jesus was born. The Septuagint is over 1,000 years older than the Masoretic text, Old Testament, which is written in the modern Hebrew language that was invented centuries after the life and ministry of Jesus. Jesus and the apostles spoke Greek as well as Aramaic, but no one at this time was speaking or writing the Paleo-Hebrew language because it was dead. There were select temple priests who retained some Paleo-Hebrew phrases for their temple rituals, but even this was wiped out and totally lost after the temple was destroyed in 70 AD. The second Hebrew 2.0 language didn't come about until hundreds of years later. In the following centuries after the crucifixion of Jesus, the descendants of the Pharisees, called Masoretes, began writing a new Old Testament Bible in a new invented script that was heavily inspired by Aramaic characters. This new Hebrew 2.0 script was designed to be an occultic, Kabbalistic language for hidden magic codes, divination, and a form of numerology called gematria. It was a strong deviation from the original Paleo-Hebrew script of Moses. This new Hebrew 2.0 language was only a written form of communication, and for many centuries, the common Jewish language was Yiddish, which is a mix of Aramaic and German. It wasn't until recently when a Zionist named Eliezer ben Yehuda derived a new verbal language that is not a true resurrection of the ancient Paleo-Hebrew of Moses, but instead is a mishmash of stolen words from Arabic, Turkic, German, Yiddish, Russian, Ukrainian, and Belarusian. A friend recently asked me, well, if no one spoke Hebrew during Jesus' life and ministry, what about Acts chapter 22 verse 2, where it says that the Apostle Paul spoke Hebrew to the angry mob of Jews? Well, this is a wonderful question, and I was so glad he asked. So let's open my favorite Bible, the 1560 Geneva translation. Let's go to Acts chapter 22 verse 2, where we read, "And when they heard that he spake in the Hebrew tongue to them, they kept the more silence." Okay, so now let's open up Strong's Concordance and look under the word Hebrew. And if we scroll down, we'll see the Greek concordance number for the word Hebrew, as used in Acts 22 verse 2, is 1446. So now then, let's go to the Greek section and find the number 1446, where we see the word Hebrew, or pronounced Hebraise. And further reading proves that in this verse, the spoken Hebrew language is actually considered Aramaic, which is absolutely not the Paleo-Hebrew language of Moses. And then to further validate this, we can read on BibleHub.com, Strong's Lexicon for 1446 also defines a Hebrew language as Aramaic. And further down we read, "It is important to note that during the time of the New Testament, Hebrew often referred to what we now call Aramaic, the common language of the Jewish people in Judea. Koine Greek was a universal language during this time. Aramaic was limited and very regional, spoken mostly only by the Jews who lived in Jerusalem. There were more Greek-speaking Jews living in Alexandria than the Aramaic-speaking Jews in Jerusalem. The diaspora Jews all spoke Greek. Paul wouldn't have written his letters in a language foreign to his audience. This is why the original New Testament manuscripts were all written in Greek, and this allowed the gospel of Jesus Christ to spread as fast as it did. So I plan on doing a much more robust deep dive video about the two Hebrew languages, as I see that so many Christians and Hebrew roots groups are idolizing this modern imposter Hebrew 2.0 language that has nothing to do with Jesus and the gospel, and everything to do with Babylonian Jewish mysticism, also known as the Kabbalah. You can find more of my research on my website, benbornagain.faith.